Alright, so I'm in the midst of taking the kit apart so that way I can get it prepared for painting. Some parts I'm going to leave on. Others needs to be removed, like this. And like certain parts, trying to see if I can do either two-tone colored ideas or whatnot. Haven't figured it out yet. But something like these vents needs to be painted separate. And then you have these parts that, fortunately, I'm going to have to remove them. Actually, let me see if I can do this. Take this off. Take that off, and then take this whole section off. Yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be forgiving. This part is going to be forgiving because it's not, you don't need to glue it on, but I definitely need to paint it separate, especially this part, which is the smaller parts I'm going to remove and put them on reversible tape. So, but I'm going to do this for now, so we can have it ready. Now, I want to share something with you guys, and this is something that I wanted to show off. No, not this one, right here. So, this is the part for the arm, the forearm, which I'm going to take apart in a moment because this thing needs to be painted. But this part is the one that I was talking about with the sleeve. And so what I did was I removed the sleeve part around this. And doing so also it yanked off the part, one of the clips that was there. I pushed it in, opened it up, took it out, no big deal. But the intention would be to glue on this part, as you can see here, which is glued, and then I just sanded it down a bit so it could show the trim, and that's nice and flush. So now, after I finish painting this, it slides in like so. I also opened up the cavity here a bit so it slides on smoothly. I noticed it was a bit of a chore to stick it in and stick it out, so giving it a little bit more gap is no big deal because eventually it's going to, area is going to be whole painted, it's going to be painted on completely, and I'll just put a dab of glue so that way it'll slide in like this. But this is a cool little trick. As a matter of fact, we're going to do this on the next part here. Where is it? Here's one black pea part. There's that. Oh, I see it. Just took me a while to find it. So, cool thing about this is there's a little notch guide there. So I'm just going to apply glue there. And let's put these two parts together. I'm just going to keep it like there. Use this table as the guide so it doesn't deviate. Then I'm just going to put a little bit here. A little bit there. That way, once it bleeds in, there we go. I'll then sand it down once it dries, and then I'll open up the gap on the other part, and then test fit it, make sure it goes in and out. But there's a lot of parts here that, of course, I need to take apart. I already took apart one leg. I'm about to take the other part off, and also took some putty and began covering up the gap hole that was there. It's now starting to dry up a bit. I'm going to give it another day so then I can smooth it down and sand it down so it's nice and even and flush. There is one part that I just realized that I think I'm going to need some putty, and that is this part here, the beam rifle. This little hole is exposed. So I'm going to open this up. Here. Just need a little. Just going to need a little bit. And then just fill in the hole. Remove the excess. There we go. Don't want to put too much because I don't. Sometimes a little bit too much putty on an area that you don't want to put on may end up either damaging the part, just the area that I want that's affected. Then I'm gonna get the sanding sponge. I have a 400 grit sanding sponge around here, and I had it near me. Where the heck is it? Oh, here it is. Yeah, I have a lot more here. I'll just sand it down, smooth it out, making sure it's nice and round. That way it'll conform to this. Alright, let me just continue on. We'll move forward. Okay, time for the fun to begin. And I'm going to start priming these parts. I'm not going to waste too much time priming, but I just want to show off what I'm going to be doing right now. I'm going to be using Mr. Finishing Surfacer 1500 Gray to prime the majority of the parts. But when I get to do the pre-shading, I'm going to use Mr. Finishing Surfacer 1500 Black, but I'm going to use a small amount of this. In all truth and fairness, there's only a little bit in here, but I have added a couple of, a good 10 or 20 drops of thinner to thin it out, because I only need is a little bit. But I do have to make a mental note that when I go to Gundam Planet or any other hobby show or store, got to get myself another bottle of black primer, because black primer does go a long way with certain kits. But right now we're going to prime this. There we go. One thing, of course, reason why I'm doing this right now is because I want to make sure that if I see a part that needs to be re-sanded down, I can go back to it again. Priming will expose parts that you say to yourself, oh, I thought I took care of that. See right there, there's a little notch there, and there's a little notch there. So once it dries, I'll just give it another sanding to cover it up. Now I have two airbrushes here right now. One of them is my Neo from Iwata CN. This is going to be my primary color airbrush, while I'm using my Wave HT41 for my primer. And I kind of realized that I've been mixing my airbrushes using different types of paints, jumping from acrylic-based paints to solvent-based paints, and it is a bit of a pain in the ass to clean. So I may have to get myself a dedicated airbrush, mainly specifically for acrylics. So one airbrush will be for primer, another one will be for acrylics, and the other one will be for lacquer solvents. Something I want to look into for next year, or if I see a good deal. I don't know if anybody has picked up any good deals lately on on painting or tools or anything like that. That's nice. Let it dry. Looks good. Oh, let me take the opportunity to say that this, get over here, this December 2nd, which is this Sunday, will be the last day for the GundamCustom contest build to end. I've already got a few people who have, who has entered, and I received some pictures of the people who completed their kits, and I think something, let's do that again, and amazing work on a lot of people's parts, on their kits, so I hope to see the remaining done by the end of the weekend. And then, of course, the following weekend will be the announcement of who's the winner for the contest. There we go. All right, so let me paint the black part here. I don't know if you can see this, but here's now it's nice and flush. I think I have another one here. Alright. So let me continue on, and then we'll move on to painting the colors. Okay, so I have a lot of these parts to dry and review. Now I'm going to begin to pre-shade them. Let's mix this paint here a bit. Make sure it flows properly. And let's see, spray and pray. Okay. A lot of edges here on the shoulder. Let's see what I can do. Let's do the shield. Okay, that's good. Let's do the fuel tanks. Doesn't matter if it's this dark, because with the paint that's going to go over it, as long as the pre-shading shows, that's all that matters. I'll just grab another part here. The head. Alright, so we're going to continue on and then wait until it dries and then paint it.